Hello there. So in today's episode, we are going to be talking about footprints on sand or whatever. So if you pay close attention to the sand or the surface that the character is working on, there are some footprints that are basically just decals. It's so different than a deformable sand or a deformable surface. These are just decals that are just materials. You can change the design, you can change how it looks inside the material, and it's essentially based on that. So let's get started. What is a decal? Decal is essentially a material, so you can just go ahead and in your materials folder, right click, create a new material. I've already created it. I've called it m_footprint. So in here you will need some textures. So the textures I've come up with are the textures that I've downloaded from just Google. I typed footprint texture, footprint transparent texture, and I downloaded this one, and then I used this website to just drag and drop it and get a normal map, which is this one. And then I used another website. I just Googled mirroring the texture online, and I mirrored the texture for the left foot. So this one's for the right foot, this one's for the left foot, this one's the normal map of the right foot, this one's the normal map of the left foot. Okay, so once you have everything, you can just go ahead and grab the base texture, drag it into your scene, right click, convert it to a parameter. I've called it texture. This is like the main texture. So the reason that we are using it as a parameter is that we have two feet, one for left and one for right. So we need two textures because the texture for the right and left foot are different. And then you'll drag the base normal map as well, just like that, and right click, convert it to a parameter, name it something. I've named it normal. This one's named the texture. And then this is just the simple noise texture. You can just go ahead and type in texture sample, and in here you can just type in noise, and there are a bunch of textures for you to use. I've used I believe the Perlin noise. Yeah, okay. You can go ahead and use another texture as well. Noise is just to make it a little bit different probably, and then it's going to be multiplied by the alpha of this texture. Hold M and left click for the multiply, and then use it like this, and then another multiplier to go into the opacity. The reason I'm doing it is because I want the effect to be subtle, because there will be a lot of effects on and sound waves on top of it that will have an array of effects that will have a feeling to the player. So that's probably, you don't want to overdo it, because look at it, it's more subtle than the way I showed it to you. You can barely see it if you pay close attention, but if you add dust and footprint effects and all the effects together on top of each other, will have a better look to them. Yeah, okay. So this is the material. You can just hold 3 for the color. This is just a color. You can change the color and hold M and just multiply it by it, and go into the base color and emissive color. This multiplier is to control how emissive it's gonna be, because if you go like, the normal value is gonna be really bright, so I've just multiplied it by 0.3. We don't really need this one. It works without it as well. And this is the normal texture I've told you about. I am multiplying it by 200. So if you pay attention, it's got a little bit of normal to it. So it's, I mean, I found it a little bit more convincing than the normal value. Okay, and the material itself is gonna be the deferred decal, the material domain, and the blend mode is gonna be translucent. And apply, save. After that, we have to create the blueprint for it. The reason we are creating a blueprint for it instead of just using a decal is that we have, as I told you, we have 2 feet. One is left and one is right, and we need to choose between them. So you can easily go ahead and create a decal for it as well. I just didn't like to do it that way. I just went ahead and right click blueprint class and actor and then call it BP underline footprint. And then just type decal in the add section and you got it. So this is the material we've created. Find it, right click, create a material instance, create an instance for the right, call it footprint right r underline instance, or you can call it this way as well. This is a better practice to name them like this. So mi is shortened for material instance, and then you can just right click, duplicate it for the left, rename, and mi footprint L. Okay, and so the base material for the footprint, we've added the decal. You can, for the sake of, if you want to see what you're doing, you can just go ahead and add a plane in here and make it visible so you can see how it's affecting the world. Or you can, maybe when you're done with it, you can just make sure this is not visible. And this is really important, make sure the collision presets is set to no collision. And the decal material is gonna be, I mean, this is not really an important issue at the moment, but you have to give it a default value, which in our case, I'd say let's go ahead and give it this one, mi underline footprint r. Okay, and now I've already given it the footprint L, which doesn't really matter. So let's go ahead into our material instances. This is for the left. So for the we have, as you remember, we have 2 texture parameters. One is for the texture itself, one is for the normal map. And make sure that you set the normal map and the texture for the left foot in the left material instance, and then set the right versions of them in the right material instance. And okay, let me delete this one. So right now we need to have some custom events because we want to make sure that the left decal is going to be different with the right decal. So right click, custom event, name one of them L or left, or name the other one right or R, and make sure the decal set material, set decal material, and then for the left, make sure you are using the left material instance, and for the right, make sure you are using the right material instance that you created. Compile, save. Okay. After that, we have to go into the character BP, which in my case is called BP underline third person character, which is the default character in the third person. And then go into the anim class, find it in the content browser. I've opened it. Go into the locomotion, or go into the anim graph and find, or you can just find the animations for your maybe running. In my case, it's called fast, yeah, fast run anim. Just find your animation and make sure that whenever the left foot touches the ground, right click, add notify, and new notify, and then call it something, for example, L. Let's, okay, I don't want to add that, I just wanted to show you that. Okay, so I've already added the notify for myself. Right click, notify, new notify. I've called it footprint L for the left foot, and then footprint right for the right foot. And do this for all the animations that you want to have the effect in them. So if you go into the walk, I don't have it at the moment. So what I can do is right click, add notify. I've already created the notify, so I can, instead of just going into the new notify, I can go ahead into the skeleton notifies, and since it's the right foot, footprint R, and then right click, add notify, skeleton notifies, left, and then Control C, Control V, and then Control C, Control V. Okay, and do this for all the animations you want to have this effect on. Now that's set, let's go ahead into the anim BP and into the event graph. Okay, so if you already created a notify, right? So just type in footprint and you will have it here. It's not this one. Yeah, it's not this one. Just type in footprint and yeah, I've already, since, let me delete them and do it again for you. Print for the left, and then you can either cast it to the third person character, which I did, or the better idea would be to cast it here. It's already been casted to the character, which is not specified as a third person character, so we can't really use it. But the logical way to do it would be cast to BP third person character or whatever you have, and then right click, promote it to this variable, promote it to a variable and call it something, and then use that variable instead. So if you have named it character, you can just come in here, get character, and then out of it you can just type in footprint, which we haven't created yet. So just cast it to the character, and then we are done in here in this part. So you won't have it, you won't have this part at the moment. Let's create this part. Go into the third person character. So let's create the custom events that we are going to be using in the animation BP. So custom event, this one, name it something. For me it's called footprint R for the right foot, footprint left for the left foot. So after that we have to line trace to find the exact location of the ground to spawn the decal on top of it. Because if you just, I mean, there are people who are using a plane underneath the feet of the character to use the location of that plane to afterwards create the decal on that location, which in my opinion doesn't work really well. So instead of doing that, I just go ahead and do a line trace by channel, this one. I'm using the visibility channel, which is like the default. Let me delete this one. Oh, why did I delete it? Okay, it doesn't matter. Then let's grab the mesh and then get socket location. So the socket location would be, for me, called foot underline right. How can you find this? Go to your mesh, skeleton, and find the foot of your character. So do foot underline left is this one, and right click, copy selected bone name, and then this is, since this is left, just come in here, Control V, and bam, done. And then you can have an add, and then add it by like 100, and then it goes to the start, and then subtract it by again 100, and then this one goes to the end. It should be tracing complex as well. Okay, then what? Then we are going to, for the out hit, we are going to break hit result, expand it, and we need this location. That's it. We don't really need anything else. And then spawn the actor we've created, BP underline footprint. So we just go ahead and spawn actor from class footprints. This one. So where should it spawn? The location that it's grabbed from the ground. So this is the location, and then the rotation of the main actor. So get actor rotation, this one. I am changing the Z value a little bit because my texture is not correct, and I didn't really want to change it in Photoshop. I was so being lazy, so I just changed it in the I just changed it in here. So for if you are using the same texture, by the way, I've uploaded them all, and it's all in the description, so you can just go ahead and use the textures I created. For the right foot, you can just go ahead and add a 45 to the Z value, so you can just add. It's kind of so easy to add and subtract things from each other in the Unreal Engine 5. And then make rotator, so you can just make rotator, and then this one goes to the spawn transform rotation. For the scale though, I am using a 0.1 in here, and in the decal value I've changed the Y and Z value to 0.5, and then just made the X value a little bit bigger because I wanted to cover all the surface that it's going into. And after that, as you remember, we've created this custom event in here, right and left, to change the material, because we have to change the material for every foot because the textures are different. You can just go ahead and create 2 BPs for it and spawn, for example, BP footprint right in the right section, and spawn the BP footprint left for the left section. But instead of doing that, I just created 2 functions and changed the material. I wanted to change just the textures in the construction script, but for some reason it just doesn't work. I mean, it didn't work for me. I'm pretty sure that you could make it work. I just didn't feel like it. And then you can just type in R custom event or whatever, if you could ever find it, but whatever. Don't name them R or left though, just change the names. And the same goes with the left foot. Instead of foot underline right, which is the right foot for the character, you go foot underline left, and everything's the same except this one, which is 135 instead of 45. And that's pretty much it. Actually, you don't really need anything else. So you have the footprints, and that's it. It's so subtle that you can barely see it, but it's there. And as I told you, you have to be careful about the effects you create. You need to not overdo things, otherwise it will be like a real mess. Oh, one thing that I forgot to mention is that in the decal panel, in the decal that we've added, there's a fade start delay and fade duration. This means that after 5 seconds it starts to fade out, and it will take 5 seconds to completely fade out, and then it will destroy the actor after it's being fade out. So these are for the performance. It will help the performance to be much better, much better, because it's transparency, and transparency is one of the main reasons that the FPS is just so bad. So make sure that this is checked. And that's it. I hope you liked it, and if you did, please hit that like button. Have a great day.